Yo, I just turned Serum 2 into a crazy vibe machine. Check this out. Pitch it up. Which will of course play it faster right here. I mean, it sounds awesome. Here we are. Today I'll show you how you can build a system that creates maximum flexibility, efficiency and creative freedom inside Serum 2. So after you set this up or you've downloaded it, because it's available down there for free, you will be able to just go inside Serum and create instant vibes. Here we are in Ableton. I just made a small loop with samples from Organica 6. So that's how it sounds. We have off-head loop and some top loop layers and then just kick drum. Cool, so that's like our background material for this song, nothing too special. Now I'm going to insert Serum 2. So this is what your init preset will look like, but we need to change a lot of things right here. So let's go to the oscillator section, turn them on. And now we need to switch from wavetable to sample. Okay, so that's the first step because we want to mostly go sample based. So we will later on switch between sample, multi-sample, granular and spectral. Octaves doesn't matter right here, can all be set to 0. So now we want to go to the right. We're flowing with the audio which they are collecting, going into the filter, turn it on, turn on the cutoff, a little bit of resonance is cool. And now we need to activate that those samplers or the oscillator A, B and C are flowing into this filter. So if those are deactivated, they're not flowing inside here. And now first, very important thing, we're going to use our macros. So we take our macro here and put it on the filter cutoff and that's it, cutoff. So now if we turn the macro to the left, from the left to the right, you can see the range in blue here. You can adjust the range that it will open up this cutoff knob or any knob that you map it to. So it will just, if you open it up, it will open up our cutoff. And why are we using macros? So this is part of the system. Because in the macros section, we all have those knobs right next to each other. And in a few seconds, we're not only going to use one knob, one macro here for the cutoff, but we're going to use one macro for more than one knobs. So you can kind of reduce a lot of knobs to one knob and then you will be just kind of easier going and it will start automating more in the very end. Okay, so let's continue. So we have our macro on our cutoff. That's perfectly fine. So another thing that you want to control is the length of your sound. So let's go to envelope 1, which is the amp envelope, which is most of the time the amplitude envelope. So let's go here and set this to our decay. We can reduce the range a little bit. You can see the range is appearing down here, range 560 milliseconds to 9 seconds. So I want to turn this down. So this is called length. So the lowest I get should be kind of short, because otherwise, I mean, we don't have any sound. So to have some kind of sound, let's just go here and go to factory and then we just choose something, I don't know, something plucked here. So now I'm playing it and you can already see cutoff knob is working right here. All right, so length, and that's the first reducement of 2 knobs into 1. We're not only using for the decay, we also want to use it for the release time. Okay. Cool. So it's controlling the length. All right. So let's add more macros. So for macro 2, I want to map this to the level of the second oscillator and to the third oscillator and call this layers. So if I turn this up, it will increase the volume of our second and our third oscillator B and C. Therefore, add another dimension to our sound, but only if needed. All right, perfect. Cool. So then we can use the next knob here for our glide. So you have to check always and scaled. And then I don't think that we need any portamento or glide time, which is over a second. So we call this glide. And that is already so cool that we can use glide on acoustic samples. Like, I've never heard this kind of thing before. It's especially nice on pads. All right, so let's get to our FX section because those will be very, very important for us. All right, so we want to add reverb. We want to add delay. We want to add a little bit of distortion. We want to add a compressor and we want to add a equalizer. So the compressor needs to be there in the very, very end. And before the compressor, there's this distortion, and then the equalizer and the delay and the reverb need to be changed. Because first I want to have the delay, which is making like some bigger kind of, how to say, particles of the real sound, you know, louder one-shotted delays. And then it's going into this very grainy kind of reverb afterwards. All right, so we have them here. So now we want to take our next knobsy and we want to add this to the delay mix, turn it down because we want to be able to make this really, really like dry as well. And then we can also, so if we turn this up, it will increase the delay mix. Okay, and we can also use this for our feedback. So it will just, the more we crank the mix up, maybe we also want to have a little bit more feedback then in the end. So I think combining those knobs again on one knob here is kind of a good idea. No delay. Yeah, you can already sense what we're doing here. Okay, so the next one, we're going to use it for the reverb. So for the reverb, now we can make things completely wet, which is also really nice. And I want to switch to hull here. Increase the size, and then we increase the decay time also. And we can cut some of the lows out here of the reverb. We don't need too much of this spin. Already sounds super good. All right, perfect. So we can control our reverb here. So also make sure to turn this mix down. So the most left part of the blue line is on 0 mix, so we can really make things dry as well. All right, cool. So here with our equalizer, I mean, that's a little bit individual to each sound. But I think for everything that is not bass, we can easily add a low cut here. So this is not very steep, so I think we can cut it around 190, 250, something like this. I mean, if you want some more lows in the end, you can already turn it down. So for our distortion, we want to switch it to overdrive and get the drive completely to the left. This is just shaving off a little bit of the very first transient, which I thought it's just doing something that's sounding more professional in a way. So then the last thing is our compressor. So before I set our compressor up, let's go back to oscillator section and let's get some level here on our oscillator A. Okay, and then we can set the threshold down, so it's just barely doing something. And then you can increase the gain. You just want to watch out that it's not like too red or yellow right here. So I'll just decrease here the volume a little bit for myself because I need to take care of my headphone mix and all this stuff. So I forgot to mention the hyperdimension here. This is something that we will use after the reverb, and we're going to map it here onto this knob, the mix of the dimension. I don't personally like the hyper thing so much, so I just turn this one down. So here we have our dimension. Call this dimension, and we can also use this to control the size. So now we have a knob for the size and for our mix. So we can just, to the left, it's completely small and not even in the mix. So we can start adding dimension to our sounds. Okay, so that's super, super cool. Alright, so let's go back to our oscillator section. So we have one macro left down here. And what are we using this one for? I have an idea. So we have our cutoff and we have our envelope 2. So we have our cutoff and we can close our cutoff. But what is very common in electronic music is that you use envelope 2 to control the cutoff opening. And this is how you can create pluckiness in sound. So you take envelope 2 and you map it to your filter cutoff. Decrease the range. I found out that like having too much of pluckiness can sound a little bit weird, so I think you go with less is more in this case. So envelope 2 is controlling the cutoff filter right here. And now we can go back to our length, and now our length can also control the decay and release times of our envelope 2. So we have one knob that will control the length of envelope 1 and envelope 2. So let's map this to the decay time here and to the release time. So now they will kind of correlate. So if I make the sound very short, obviously I may need a shorter envelope pluckiness on envelope 2, because I mean, wouldn't make sense if the envelope 2 that is opening up the filter is much longer. So yeah, let's turn down the decay time here as well. 23 milliseconds we have here. And let's just go a little bit higher. And then the release time here, I think we're 29. You don't want to go like too short here, because this will sound like end the sound very abruptly. Okay, so now we have our length. Very short. So because this sound is not very long, we cannot really like hear the power of this length knob, but we'll hear it later with pads. Alright, so we have one knob left, which we are going to use to control this intensity of how much envelope 2 is controlling the opening of our filter cutoff knob here. So for this we need to go a little more advanced. We need to go to the matrix, and then we see that envelope 2 is controlling the filter frequency in this kind of amount. So we can add an auxiliary source, which will be macro number 8. So this macro here is called pluckiness. So if this is high, this will be high. If this is low, this will be low. So that's just what it's doing. So now we can increase the range here a little bit. You can see. Now it's opening it up very much. No, not at all. So you can control the pluckiness right here. And like using this combination of having the possibility to control the filter cutoff directly, the length of the envelope of the amp and envelope 2 and the pluckiness, I think that's something that like everybody will do every time on a synth, setting it up in a new way. Good. So now the system is set it up. This is the system that creates maximum flexibility and maximum freedom in a very, very fast way. Alright, so let's save this preset. So that's what it's called. So this will be available for you in the download section. So if you couldn't follow along, it's no problem. Just check this out. Now we have saved this, and now let's go to menu and save as a default preset. So every time we open up Serum 2, exactly this preset will appear. And that's the nice thing, because we already set it up all of our stuff, so we don't have to do this again. So that's it for the overview. Let's start creating some plugs. So a plug is basically a short sound, and we already were in the category here of plug sounds. So what the system now is, it's super easy. So you can just make your sound longer and shorter right here. You can open it up, you can close it down, you can add more or less reverb, you can add glide, you can add your layers and all of this stuff. So what you will do now is super easy. You will just go inside the sampler right here and just start fooling around, and it will create happy little accidents for you. Glide, I already like this one. Okay, so let's start layering this up. Let's go to factory. Let's go to boat. And now we have to increase our layers. And let's go to flute. Let's add this stick pipe to it. It's adding this really beautiful kind of noisy attack. And now we can start pitching our layers up and down. I mean, it sounds awesome. Let's add some more reverb. Let's close down the filter. So it's already like, I can already see this being mapped out, being automated. It's so nice. Let's add more length and maybe more pluckiness. Alright, so, and there you are. That's your patch. And now you see why this process is so fast. Because once you've generated the initial preset, it gets instantly a vibe. And that's the thing that you want to do all of the time, okay? So we have a sampler, and then we can save this as, I don't know, the first one. Going back with our layers, let's make another sound. You can also just switch here. Okay, so let's go with some guitar layered stuff. Bowed. Yeah, so I think it's just like an instant vibe, and with the reverb you can really push like also like very fast played kind of melodic pluckiness rhythms into something that is a pad, but a pad which has like a lot of motion inside it. But that's not all that we're going to do for pads. So that's it for like the first pluckiness stuff, because we have so much more to explore. I don't want to like do too much here, but it's already vibing so good. So let's continue. Alright, so let's get things to a very interesting point. We are going to create pads. We actually cannot use all of those macros right here because pads need time. So we want to increase the time right here. Now we have a good length, but we also need a lot of attack time here. So that's nothing we have within our macros, but we're just going to increase it here and see how long it takes. Yeah, so we get up until the point where it's just very smooth. Okay, so let's go to our samples right here. Now we don't want to use anything that is short. We want to use bowed stuff, for example. All right, so here we are. So let's try this out. Okay, already sounding cool. So let's get our layers going. Let's go maybe to vocals here. Choose some vocals. I'm just choosing them randomly here. All right. So let's get our layers going. I think turning down this curve right here is making a lot of sense. Okay, this one is too short. Here we are. Let's get more reverb. Now we can use the glide here. Maybe want to use a little bit more here. It's a little bit too short. Ah. Really pushing up this reverb. And I think it's good that you don't see like the mix percentage, because then like you don't get reminded of like, oh my god, someone said I can only use 15% mix of my reverb or only 20%, and the feedback of a delay shouldn't be, you get rid of your rules and you get back to your like emotional part of your system by turning just knobs, and then you're feeling it. Alright, so that's like the first pad sound, but we can create so much more right here. And if a sample is a little bit too short, you can switch from one-shot mode to forward, reverse, loop, and we'll create this loop that you can then drag around, and you can start. It will just starting looping inside this section. See? If you want to play really long textures and you want to use the sustain, then you of course have to turn up the sustain here on your amp, because otherwise it will not sustain anymore. So be aware of this. Not so funny. Okay, so let's create some more layers right here. Factory, let's go with spatial again. I don't know what those are. So they have a little bit of like smaller, like weird clicks. But I think the more of reverb we're going to use, the better this will get. Space plug. So this looks very like rhythmical, but let's see. Let's go a little bit more reverb. Also interesting. And I mean, if you like insert like external samples here, this really comes to like it would get really magic. For example, you can also like use like noises from like, are there like, I don't know if there is like anything like rain or something, Okay, so we need to pitch this down, go here to forward, reverse loop. Oh yeah. Make it super wide right here. And I mean, come on. Sounding so good. And we can still use all of our macros every single time. So in Organica 6 there are over 80 sounds based on this template, so make sure to check this out. Alright, so for our pads I want to give you one last very interesting approach, which is we only used our sampler mode right here, but there is this multi-sample mode that we definitely need to check out. So factory, choir, this is just so beautiful. So we're only using one oscillator, one sampler at the moment. Let's open up the cutoff here. Oh, I mean, come on. This is only Serum. Let's get more dimension. So now we can build up like crazy stuff. Let's go to multisample here as well. Let's go to factory, let's go to choir, take a different choir, layer it, 1 octave lower. Maybe we make it 1 octave higher. Let's get glide on the choir. And now we can layer it with our noise. Okay, that one is kind of loud here. Let's layer it with something. I don't know. Let's go factory. And let's take just some sand. Oh yeah. So if like one layer here is way too high, you want to go to the layers knob and then you just reduce the range right here. Oh my god, it sounds so good. It's crazy. It's so, I mean, come on. And this principle, you can put in everything. You can put in samples from PML. You can put in your vocals. You can put in synths, analog synth that you recorded and used them to create like a pad that evolves out of this synth that you just created the main melody with. You can put in like your Zoom recorded stuff, you can put in on your iPhone recorded dialogues, which are then super weird in the end, but that's also something we're going to explore. So I just wanted to stop here. Those were the pads, which I think are brilliant. And now let's start with a new category. Let's get some drums going. Yeah, you heard me right. We're going to make drums inside the sampler. So let's initialize the preset. We are back on our regular one. So now let's open up Organica 6. So there are a lot of different sounds right here. Let's just listen to some of those sounds in context with the track. So we have this acoustic percussion folder, which is full of a lot of loops. Bongo. All very groovy, conga. Cajon. Clave. Yeah, I mean you get the point. Guiro. And shakers, of course, everything. And of course we have top loops and arm break and ASMR stuff. I mean, yeah, people, I just put in so much material right here. Alright, so let's go inside Serum. And now what you want to do is any audio, you can insert it right here. Bop, that's it. So we have our sample right here. So let's play this here. And this is already creating some really nice textures. And that's because of the reverb. Let's get some more delay here. Pitch it up, which will of course play it faster right here. Okay, so that's like the first use case. I mean, you can create this kind of like drumish FX with it. But what is much more interesting to me is if you switch from sample to spectral mode. So let's get rid of the decay here and rid of the reverb and just listen what this is doing with our sound. Creating this extremely lush kind of version of our sound. And this is perfect for layering. So if I want to create a MIDI track, so I'm just gonna loop a short 1 bar section. Okay, so the material you will need to use to make this groove also in your track is material that is around or exactly the same BPM as your track. So if you're making a track in 118 BPM, you need to import a loop that is grooving in 118 BPM. So as this is 122 and this is 122, this should already groove, but it's not really doing it. And that's because inside Serum it will create some kind of smaller weird delay, which I don't know where this comes from, but that's what we can use the align delay for. So the align delay is just shifting anything before it to a couple of milliseconds to the right. So we want to shift the left and right time together. So let's shift this signal up until it starts grooving again. Okay, here we are. Now it's groovy. It's too loud now. Okay, so this could be our first like weird drum loop. Okay, so you can also just resample this kind of loop and then quantize it later on in the audio if you're having problems with aligning it this way. So let's duplicate this channel right here. And now we can mute it for a second. So let's start using different material right here, because some things really work wonders right here. So let's go to acoustic percussion. Let's get a bongo loop. Okay, something around like 30 to 50 milliseconds is the region that it needs. And we can use all of the knobs here. Okay, that sounds good. Let's create another one. And that's really exactly the way that I would use this. I would just layer those things up a little bit. So if you go from the same sound source, it will kind of sound very coherent, but if you want to do something different, clave. So I would always mute them and then align them in the delay. I think it's a little bit easier to hear the groove if this signal is playing alone. That's clearly not grooving. So you can create this very interesting kind of textural sound. So one thing that I just wanted to point out, it's not about in this video because it just takes the whole concept a little bit too far, but in the spectral mode, you can go to the warp section right here, and for inside the spectral thing, there are very interesting modes, especially the gate one. It's just then, I don't know, concentrating on a certain range in the spectrum. That is something to definitely play around with. And then you can just switch through them. Okay, so check out the spectral section right here. It's very, very interesting. Okay, another thing that you can do with drums, so let's get rid of this align delay here, make it a little bit louder. What you can do with drums is now you can switch from spectral to granular mode. Okay, so with granular mode, you just basically want to start exploring those knobs here. The scan obviously is the most important one. Get more delay here. cool. So you can start creating this risers, this very organic risers with this. It sounds like a woodpecker. Let's use a different sound. Of course you can layer it up as well. So you can do granular, spectral and sample mode and use them all together. Yeah, you can really go crazy here. So here is a lot of potential for super individual sound design decisions. So yeah, make sure to check this out. So that's it for drums. So let's continue to our last section that we will explore, which are effects and vocals. So let's search for something vocal right here. I don't have any vocals in my sample pack, but I think PML will have some somewhere. PML vocal. Back in the day. Alright, I'll just take what I get instantly. So, well, what key are we in right here? This is a phrase that is in F sharp minor. So let's get, I mean, we don't have anything really tonal, so I think it should be fine. Okay, so we've imported into our sampler, into a spectral mode, this vocal. So let's just check this out. Okay. Let's open up the filter and we can get rid of the drive right here. And let's get some reverb. Holy shit. I mean, it's crazy. We don't need to loop. Okay, so within the grain, you can also add unison right here, making it super huge. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you get the point. You can do so much with this. So let's get some more vocals. Maybe it's our F sharp minor, and then let's get the layers on. Let's get this to spectral. Glide. Yeah, okay. I mean, instant vibe. Instant vibe, instant fun, instant freedom. No, not too much patching. Just adjusting the sustain and the attack times here and there, you know, a little bit of drives and stuff like that. So it's just such a great system. Okay, so let's create some effects with this. So for effects, I mean, I think effects are just based on like having a lot of reverb and or delay. So here the spatial stuff is working pretty well. Just like background noises. Like badass stuff. I mean, this is already. You have this. And then, so the composition way of this is like, I just duplicate it and I have this patch, and then next one. Bam. And then I go next one, I like this one. And then I start combining them. Okay, so let's go and get something not tonal. Percussion stuff works well here. I mean, that's something, you know, that we already explored in the drum section. Let's go to spectral mode. and you can all resample this instantly, like while you're playing it, you know, and then you have a lot of material. Then later on you can compose with this material. You can like have your take lens and then just get a lot of stuff out there, because then you don't have to have like, I don't know, like 20 or 30 Serum instances. And I think for this, it's just really like the mindset for this is like get sounds, have fun. And if something is not working or it's too weird, it's okay, you know. You will never know when you will need something really weird for your production. And in the end, you will have so much material that you can create here. So it's more like doing a lot of stuff. Now you have 5 or 6 that are a little bit shitty maybe, but then you will also have a lot that are cool. And you're not like stuck in overthinking. So what I said, for FX, it's basically the most important thing is that you have delay and reverb on. And you can import anything right here, right? Like really anything. So much nicer to use this as an impact, as like something you will find like in a sample pack maybe. So alright, so that's it for the last section. Okay, so as I said earlier, this is the preset pack that I've made. There are a lot of those sounds in there. But now you know the system. I'm happy to share it with you, even though I don't know if it was very good for me, because I think this is definitely like a crazy thing. It works really wonders for me. So as I said, the patch is in the download section. It's for free. You can download it, but make sure to check out my pack. I would highly appreciate it. So my name is Yannick, and yeah, see you soon here on Production Music Live. Bye bye.